Hello, welcome back to Transfer News Live. I'm Statman Dave, and today we're going to be looking at strikers for Manchester United. United need to rebuild their attack, having already signed Matheus Cunha and Bryan Mbeumo looking next to join. Man United now need to enter that centre-forward market. So today we're going to be picking the best number 9 for Ruben Amorim's Manchester United. If you are new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button, like the video, but anyway, let's get this party started. At number 1, we've got Viktor Gyökeres, a player at the start of the window that I thought had a 0% chance of joining Manchester United after they lost the Europa League final to Tottenham. But in recent weeks, Viktor Gyökeres is reported to have warmed to the idea of joining Ruben Amorim's revolution in Manchester. And if United have the opportunity to sign one of the hottest strikers in Europe right now, they have got to take it. So let's dive into Viktor Gyökeres. What is he as a forward? Well, I think a way to describe Viktor Gyökeres would be a power forward. High intensity, high runs, constantly looking to stretch the opposition's backline. Power in terms of his movement, power in terms of his runs, but also power in terms of his finishes. I think when you're looking at someone like Viktor Gyökeres, not only does he have that ability to finish and create opportunities with little dribbles, with feints, with tricks, and then those powerful and precise finishes, but also he does a lot of damage out wide. And I think that's one of his biggest strengths, is creating for his teammates. I love Viktor Gyökeres on this left wing. He's got such ability on the ball for a player that has a humongous frame that allows him to not only go on the outside, to dribble, but also cut on the inside to then create for teammates. And if we look at the chance creation statistics in Europe's top 6 leagues, Viktor Gyökeres has 24 more chances created than any other centre forward. And I think for Manchester United, that makes a lot of sense for a forward line that struggled to create, to score, just to do anything last season. And I think looking from a Manchester United perspective, Viktor Gyökeres' ability to drift into that wide area is going to be good for both Bryan Mbeumo and for Matheus Cunha. 2 players that are very good finishers in the penalty area. 2 of the best when we're looking at overperformance in terms of expected goals. Having someone like Viktor Gyökeres sometimes operate as a nominal winger, with those 2 players in the penalty area would be a big reason for Manchester United to sign him. But also when you consider he's available for 60 million quid for a player that scored 54 goals in 51 games, for me, he would be the number 1 choice. It's not only the powerful finishes, but it's that ability to make things happen. Oh yeah, and he's also played under Ruben Amorim before. But anyway, let's move on to our second Victor of the afternoon, and that is Viktor Osimhen. If we ignore the wages, Osman would be a brilliant buy. A phenomenal goal scorer that's been top scorer in the league 2 out of the last 3 seasons. In terms of Viktor Osimhen versus someone like a Viktor Gyökeres, you'd say that he does his best work in the penalty area. He's far more of a poacher than Gyökeres. Osimhen does super damage and super work in the penalty area, be it using his speed and movement to create a little bit of separation from the defender, to again get onto long balls or long passes to put the ball in the back of the net. And when we're looking at strengths of Viktor Osimhen, we've got to talk about crosses. Not only is he very good at finishing off moves on the volley or half volley, he's also super dominant in the air. In terms of those crosses at Napoli, either you'd see balls into the box, especially from this left-hand side, kind of natural whip with the left foot for Osimhen to either apply a head or a foot to finish it off, but also from a cutback perspective, that being attackers dribbling to the byline and then looking for cutbacks. Due to Osimhen's ability to create a little bit of separation with defenders, he's good in both of those situations. The cutbacks having double movement, sending the defender one way before dropping back to apply the finish. But also when we're talking about those aerial situations, Osimhen is super, super dominant. His aerial duel win rate is very, very good. This season, it's 60%. Super, super dominant. But when you consider the 3 seasons at Napoli, scored 19 goals with his head. Only Harry Kane managed more in Europe's top 5 leagues. And when you add to the fact that he's the second top scorer in the Turkish Super League this season with his head with 8, you've got a player that can truly attack balls. In terms of little parts of his game where I feel there's a slight weakness, that maybe his left foot. In his career, he's only scored 5% of his goals on the left-hand side. So I do think that's an area to improve, but at Manchester United, there's a lot of things that I like. Number one, I think the speed and the physicality means that Viktor Osimhen would be easily able to compete with the best type of centre-halves. I think he's an elite-level goal scorer, and he has that frame to really bully defenders in the Premier League. I think in a sense as well, when we're looking at that kind of weak foot, Ruben Amorim's system, especially on the right-hand side, is more about players kind of cutting in to cross or cutting in and then looking for through balls in behind the defence. From the right-hand side, that would naturally suit Viktor Osimhen's movement across the line and then finishing with his right foot, something that I do like. But I also think in terms of being an aerial threat versus the likes of Xerxes and Rasmus Højlund, Viktor Osimhen is so much better in the air and would be better suited to the Premier League. Then the only downside of this transfer is the wages. It would be a lot of money to bring Viktor Osimhen to Manchester United. Reports that he wants upward of 300 grand per week to play for United, which is a little bit of a danger considering he's had problems with injuries through his career. So for me, it's an interesting backup, but I think at the moment, Viktor Gyökeres is number one. So the biggest drawback to everyone on this list so far is they've not played in the Premier League. Here's where the Premier League option comes in. Jean-Philippe Mateta, one of my favourite forwards in the league. Number one, he plays in a 3-4-2-1 already under Oliver Glasner. And I tell you what, he's done quite well. Under Oliver Glasner, only the likes of Isaac, Haaland and Mohamed Salah have scored more goals than the French centre-forward. He's a player that I absolutely love. We're talking about traditional forwards. What I love about Jean-Philippe Mateta is that you can play a long ball up to him and usually you're going to win it. In terms of that, if he's not going to win that first contact and knock a ball down to one of his teammates, if, for example, one of the defenders gets in and maybe wins the aerial duel, the threat of him in behind instantly, making that move to stretch the opposition, means that attacking midfield lineup of Matheus Cunha and Bryan Mbeumo would be able to get on the ball. We saw it time and time again for Crystal Palace. A long ball up to Mateta knocking the ball down or half knocking the ball down to one of the attacking midfielders to instantly attack the back line, or be a little bit patient and wait for one of the wing backs to again get on the overlap, find them with a through ball, and once again look for a ball into the box for Mateta to attack. I think quintessential centre-forward play is what Mateta's good at. He's not the fastest player on the market, but he's got that ability to time his runs and make the runs at the right time. And I think as well, when it comes to his finishing, what I like about him is he's very two-footed. He scored 30 goals since the start of last season. 20 of those came with his right foot, 9 of them came with his left foot. And this is another thing I really like about Jean-Philippe Mateta. It allows him to solve the problem with both feet. And that's something that United have really struggled with, just simply scoring goals. But Jean-Philippe Mateta would provide a lot. I think his style and his ability is very, very good. I think there's a lot that United could do with long balls from the back, from the likes of Lenny Yoro and Aiden Heaven, up to the big centre-forward, knockdowns for Matheus Cunha, and then linking the play and getting into the penalty area. It's almost old school in that sense, and that's why I think a lot of people have enjoyed what he's done at Crystal Palace. But he has scored goals, he's carried their offense, and he's been a real threat in behind. I think the one negative for Jean-Philippe Mateta is maybe his aerial ability. He scored 1 goal from just 20 shots this season. So that's definitely an area for improvement. But considering that Ruben Amorim, as we previously mentioned, likes to create opportunities from cutbacks, that's an area that Jean-Philippe Mateta can absolutely gobble up. But enough about the obvious picks. Let's look outside the box. If Viktor Gyökeres is the quintessential power forward, is there any other players that could play a similar role to that? So when looking at the intensity of sprints, the physicality, the aerial duel win rate, Lewis Openda comes out, a centre forward that's been playing in the Bundesliga for a few seasons now. In 3 of his last 4 seasons, he scored over 20 goals. But Leipzig massively fell off under Marco Rose this season, and Lewis Openda struggled. So Man United might be able to get the Belgium number 9 on the cheap, or potentially use the market, maybe a loan with an option to buy, to allow United to see whether he's still got it. In terms of Openda as a centre-forward, it reminds me a lot of Sergio Aguero in stature and size. He's quite short, but he's very powerful when opponents kind of come and press him. He's got that ability to create shooting opportunities, a little bit of a feint, or a little bit of skill to get a shot away. But I don't think he's quite clinical as Sergio Aguero was in the Premier League. I think in terms of Lewis Openda, he's played in a 3-4-2-1 shape. He's obviously played as that number 9, but also he's played as the left forward as as well. It's a reasonably good effect. I don't think it's his best position, but it's an area that he could do a job for Manchester United. And I do think when you're looking at market opportunities, Lewis Openda could be one for Man United to sign on the cheap. Yes, it would be a weaker Viktor Gyökeres, but it would be a lot cheaper than the Swedish centre-forward. Moving away from the power forward, but also staying outside the box, let's think about Premier League options. Anton Semano is a player I really like. For Bournemouth, he's played wide left, wide right, as a 10, as a centre-forward, but also had his best ever season in terms of goals. He's someone that Man United could gamble and make a super fluid front three with Bryan Mbeumo, Matheus Cunha, and Anton Semano. Having largely played on the right wing and the left wing for Bournemouth this season, Semano playing as a number 9 would be a bit of a gamble, but I think he's got the raw materials to make him a very good striker. He's very much a volume shooter. He'll drop a bit of a shoulder and get a shot away, or he'll just generally take early shots. I quite like that about Semano. He's got that ability to create something out of nothing, to spin in behind a defence, to shoot from range after cutting in. He's got a really good goal against Manchester City this season on his weaker left foot. Kind of two-footed in that moment as well. I think when you look at Bournemouth as well, they are super impressive off the ball. So Semano would provide that work rate that Man United need as their number 9, constantly harrying and putting pressure. We're looking at Bournemouth, they had the most high turnovers leading to shots and goals in the Premier League this season. And Semano won the most tackles for them in the final third. This is a player that could be super aggressive to win the ball back and then either get shots away himself, like we've seen time and time again, or link with that attacking midfield lineup. I think at Manchester United, it would allow rotation in the forward line. No positions would be fixed in that forward area, which I think could be quite good. I've quite liked Patrick Dorgu operating in that central midfield position at certain times. Matheus Cunha is obviously fluid, can play wide, but also when you're looking at the narrow front three, Bryan Mbeumo is very good at kind of stretching the opposition in the inside right position, and Matheus Cunha spent time playing as a number 9. So having that fluidity would allow Manchester United's forward line to really interchange positions. You know, the 9 becoming the left winger, left becoming the right winger, and so forth. This would allow fluidity for United in the final third and make it very difficult for teams to deal with what they're doing. I think with Semano, it would allow Man United to really catch their opponents out. You've got the intensity, you've got the shooting, you've got the unorthodox nature of Semano. It would be a very, very different signing, but a signing I quite like. Semano is a player I think United should acquire anyway, independent of whether he plays as a 9 or plays inside left, inside right, or even as a wing back. I think Semano's got real quality in those areas. So whether United sign him as a 9 this summer or next summer as an attacking midfielder, he's a player that I think they really, really should consider. So overall, I feel like Manchester United need to sign Viktor Gyökeres. If he wants to join the football club, he should be the number 1 pick. The backup should be Jean-Philippe Mateta, and in third place, Anton Semano. That would be my top 3 for Ruben Amorim's side. But anyway, guys, get into the comments below. What do you think? Who is the ideal centre-forward for Manchester United? I've been Starman Dave. Subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you next time.